How we doing, folks? This is the Pop Music Freak. I am back for another Song Facts Countdown video. I'm up to number 851 on my list of 1,000 favorite songs of all time. It is a rockin' tune from the 70s that became bigger and biggest again in the 80s. A group from Boston who merged onto the scene, started to become pretty damn popular, really took it over the top the next year with their first top 10, and this was their second top 10 that was originally released 2 years earlier but finally caught fire at the end of 1976. I am talking about Aerosmith, and I'm talking about the song Walk This Way. I will give you the song facts, give you the lowdown and the hoedown, and how this song came back to life a decade later and became a huge sensation. So, first thing we'll talk about is when it was originally recorded. It was recorded somewhere between January and February of 1975. It was recorded before Sweet Emotion, and was the follow-up single to Sweet Emotion, which was their first top 40 hit at the time. This follow-up, when it was released the first time in August of 75, did not catch on, did not even hit the Hot 100. They ended up re-releasing the song Dream On. That was a Hot 100 hit in 1973, and the second time around that caught fire and got all the way to number 6 on the pop charts, and was a big record. And of course, it's a classic Aerosmith song, probably the biggest classic still, as far as I'm concerned. So, with the success of Dream On, the next single was Last Child. That did pretty decent, getting to number 21 on Hot 100. And then at the end of 76, they re-released Walk This Way. And this time around, I guess because of the experience of having heard Sweet Emotion and Dream On already, had a couple of hits behind them, pushed this song forward. It got to number 10 on the Hot 100 early in 1977. Alright, so that's the chart situation of what it did and it finally became a hit. And of course, the Run DMC stuff, I have that version on this list later on in this list. Kind of think that's a better version because it was probably one of the biggest hybrid moments for music in the last 50 years, probably. Anyway, let's get back to the original Walk This Way. Song by American rock band Aerosmith, written by Steven Tyler and Joe Perry. The song was originally released as the second single from the album Toys in the Attic, peaking at number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 in early 1977, part of a string of successful hit singles for the band in the 70s. In addition to being one of the songs that helped break Aerosmith into the mainstream in the 70s, it also helped revitalize their career in the 80s, when it was covered by hip-hop group Run DMC in collaboration with Aerosmith on their 1986 album Raising Hell. The cover was a touchstone for the new musical subgenre of rap rock, or the melding of rock and hip-hop. It became an international hit and won both groups the Soul Train Music Award for Best Rap Single in the 1987 Soul Train Music Awards. Both versions are in the Grammy Hall of Fame, which is a wonderful thing. Okay, now, in terms of production, on the music end, the song starts out with a 2-measure drum beat intro by Joey Kramer, followed by a guitar riff composed by Joe Perry. The song proceeds with the main riff with Perry and Brad Whitford on guitar and Tom Hamilton on bass. The song continues with rapid-fire lyrics by Steven Tyler. In December 1974, Aerosmith opened for the Guess Who in Honolulu. During the sound check, guitarist Joe Perry was fooling around with riffs and thinking about the meters, a group guitarist Jeff Beck had turned him on to. Loving the riffy New Orleans funk, especially Sissy Strut and People Say, he asked the drummer to lay down something flat with a groove on the drums. The guitar riff to what would become Walk This Way just came off his hands. Needing a bridge, played another riff and went there. But I didn't want the song to have a typical boring 1-4-5 chart progression. After playing the first riff in the key of C, I shifted to E before returning to C for the verse and chorus. By the end of the sound check, I had the basics of a song. As for the lyrics, when bandmate Steven Tyler heard Perry playing that riff, he ran out and sat behind the drums and they jammed. Tyler scattered nonsensical words initially to feel where the lyrics should go before adding them later. When the group was halfway through recording Toys in the Attic in early 1975 at Record Plant in New York City, they found themselves stuck for material. They had written 3 or 4 songs for the album, having to write the rest in the studio. They decided to give the song Perry had come up with in Hawaii a try, but it did not have lyrics or a title yet. Deciding to take a break from recording, band members and producer Jack Douglas went down to Times Square to see Mel Brooks' Young Frankenstein. Returning to the studio, they were laughing about Marty Feldman telling Gene Wilder to follow him in the film, saying, "Walk this way," and limping. Douglas suggested this as a title for their song, but they still needed lyrics. At the hotel that night, Tyler wrote lyrics for the song, but left them in the cab. On the way to the studio next morning, he says, "I must have been stoned. All the blood drained down my face, but no one believed me. They thought I never got around to writing them." Upset, he took a cassette tape with the instrumental track the band had recorded and a portable tape player with headphones and disappeared into the stairwell. He grabbed a few number 2 pencils but forgot to take paper. He wrote the lyrics on the wall at the record plant's top floor and then down a few stairs of the back stairway. After 2 or 3 hours, he ran downstairs for a legal pad and ran back up and copied them down. Perry thought the lyrics were so great, saying that Tyler, being a drummer, likes to use words as a percussion element, he says. The words have to tell a story, but for Steven, they also have to have a bouncy feel for flow. Then he searches for words that have a double entendre, which comes out of the blues tradition. Perry always liked to wait until Tyler recorded his vocal so he could weave around his vocal attack, but Tyler wanted Perry to record first for the same reason. After a tug of war, Tyler's vocal was recorded first with Perry's guitar track overdubbed. The lyrics, which tell the story of a high school boy losing his virginity, are sung quite fast by Tyler, with heavy emphasis being placed on the rhyming lyrics, so it took a big chance at the high school dance. Between the elaborately detailed verses, the chorus primarily consists of a repetition of "walk this way, talk this way." Live in concert, Tyler often has the audience, combined with members of the band, sing "talk this way." There's also a lengthy guitar solo at the end of the song, and in concert, Tyler would often harmonize his voice to mimic the sounds of the guitar. As for reception on the song, Cashbox said that Steven Tyler's vocal was aggressive, gritty, and right on as he literally spits out a slew of lyrics while never losing clarity, and that the music itself is hard-boiled rock. In 2022, it was included on the list of The Story of NME and 70 Mostly Seminal Songs at number 26. Now, here's the personnel on the record. As I mentioned all of them earlier: Steven Tyler, lead and backing vocals; Joe Perry, lead guitar, slide guitar, talk box, and backing vocals; Brad Whitford on the rhythm guitar; Tom Hamilton on the bass guitar; and Joey Kramer on drums and a triangle. So, as for chart success, as I mentioned, it got as high as number 10 on the Billboard Hot 100 early in 1977. It also hit number 7 on the Cashbox chart, hit number 7 in Canada, and number 85 in Australia. For the year-end chart for 1977, it ranked number 90 on the Billboard Hot 100. Cashbox ranked it number 72, and in Canada, it came in at number 77 for 77. As for certifications, went double platinum, 2 million copies sold in the USA, and the UK went silver, which is 200,000 copies. Now, as for the legacy of the song, Walk This Way was one of 2 hit singles by the band that hit the top 10 of the Billboard Hot 100 in the 1970s, the other one being a re-release of Dream On a year earlier, which reached number 6. Walk This Way, though, helped Toys in the Attic to be the best-selling Aerosmith album, and one of the most critically acclaimed. Aerosmith's version of Walk This Way often competes with Sweet Emotion and Dream On for the title of Aerosmith's signature song, being one of the band's most important, influential, and recognizable songs. The band rarely omits it from their concert set list, still performing their classic version of the song to this day. Song also has been a staple of rock radio, garnering regular airplay on mainstream rock, classic rock, and album-oriented rock stations. In 2009, it was named the 8th greatest hard rock song of all time by VH1. Fee Waybill, Steve Lukather, Tim Bogert, and Tommy Aldridge covered the song for the Aerosmith tribute album Not the Same Old Song and Dance. Aerosmith referenced lyrics from the song in Legendary Child. The line, "I took a chance at the high school dance, never knowing wrong from right," references lyrics from the songs Walk This Way and Adam's Apple, respectively. Both songs first appeared on the album Toys in the Attic. In 2019, the song was inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame. So that is it for the song facts for the original version of Walk This Way, the hit version of 1977. Like I mentioned, the version with Run DMC is higher up on my list. When we get to that, I'll talk all about how Run DMC and Aerosmith got together, which was very, very odd and very, very crazy in a lot of people's minds at the time until they heard the song and how it came out and the response, becoming such a huge, huge record for both genres and both bands. Anyway, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found this to be informative. Please like the video. Please share it. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the bell if you want to be notified when I'm releasing more videos for YouTube. And I will post a link to their video in the description. So you might want to check that out. Alright? As once again, I want to explain, because I've gotten a few comments about this. I do not play the video in a little box like everyone else does and play the video in the middle of a song and stop it every now and then and comment on it. I don't do that because I've been hit with copyright strikes before and I don't want to go through that. It's very easy to just click the link and watch the video on your own. I mean, it may be more fun to see what my reaction is to the actual song for people, but I think giving you song facts and telling you things about the song that you may not know, that you've never known after 45 years, I think that's interesting, and this is why I'm doing this. So that answers some critics, okay? I'm gonna get critics all the time. We all do. Every time, anytime someone has a voice and has something to say, there's gonna be someone that's gonna be like, meh. Well, that's life. I can deal with it. I'm a big boy. So thank you again so much for watching. I wish you all peace and love and a wonderful day.